Hello, this is John, Advanced Fisherman. Tonight I'm doing a reel I've never done before. 2 in a row here. This is a Penn, and you think, well, I've probably seen every Penn there is, but this is the first one I've ever actually seen in person. It's a 103C. It's made in Japan. It's in very good shape. Got a little squeak to it. We can fix that. It seems to all be there. It does have a piece of line still stuck in it there. There we go. Took care of that. Let's take it apart. Start out with the drag, where I always go first. The reel does not look to be used. I took line off of it that did not look to be ever been fished with. It was that blue old like Kmart looking line. Yeah, the stuff they used to sell at Kmart. Look, these drags have never been, they've never been slipped. Look at them. Typical Penn drag configuration here. And they're all Teflon, so that's good. Good to know. All right, let's take the handle off. There's the squeak. It's all in the handle. That bushing's dry as the desert. So we'll get all that lubricated and running good. This cap comes off. Dry as it can be. I mean, just horrible dry. Okay. We'll take the side cover screws out. This reel is about as close to being brand new as they get. I purchased this reel to sell. I did not purchase this reel to collect. I don't collect these silver pins or anything. I don't collect anything by Penn that has Japan on it. I fish with them. I fish with some of the squalls, fathoms. I got a bunch of the Fierce 4s in different sizes. But that's all I've got. They're Japanese pins. I don't fish with them. I mean, I don't collect them. I fish with them. Okay, pay close attention. We gotta, well, let's stop here for a second and look at this. There's a bushing in there that I'm going to carefully knock out. Okay, so there's the cover. That will clean up very nicely. That's just a plastic bushing that will go either way. You could probably put a bearing in place of that. Not, you know, I might even have a bearing that'll fit that. Your crosswind lever goes one way. You've got a shim on the outside of that. You've got a pin right here that holds the crosswind block in this reel. No, maybe not. Yeah, it's got to. Well, it's stuck pretty good. Not coming out. That's interesting. Here it comes. It was in there pretty good, but it came out. And then you can pull your shaft out. That's stuck. Wow, that's stuck pretty hard. All right, let's give it a little grease, or a little WD-40 here. So just old lube in it, folks. You know, just typical reel that's been sitting around for a long time and gotten lube locked. So what I'm doing here is I'm just getting it to where I can, here we go. I got that crosswind block off there without having to use any force. I don't like to use force on reels if I don't have to. I like the looks of this reel. It's well built. Then your main gear comes out and it's got a matching bushing that could be easily be converted to a bearing. Just some old lube, like I said. I'm thinking this is going to be a 1/2 inch. Let's see what I got here. That's a 14, 12. That's a 7/8. 7/16. I know it's not that. Although it is, that's 7/16 too. There's a 1/2 inch. It is Japanese, so it's probably a 13 if I had to guess. Take that loose. Wow, that thing's, there we go. Yeah, looks like a lot like your typical Penn setup here. I'm not going to take this off. I can clean all that pretty good. I want to take the pinion out. So remember how that cog went, which you really can't get that wrong. Here's your, oh, that's cool. I like how Penn did that. Yeah, I like that. Well, we gotta take this off, but that's okay. I like the way Penn did this. And what I'm doing, I'm taking this anti-reverse dog off of here so I can pull this off to clean it, and then I'll take these 2 screws off, and that's as far down as I'm not going to take the trip out. I'm not going to take the anti-reverse switch on, or selection lever. I am going to pull the bearing out, clean it off, lubricate it. The bearing is not stuck. I can tell you it's spinning really nice. Nice old reel so far. You know, this kind of takes me back to the days of the Daiwa Silver Series. Now this plate here went on like that. Okay, remember that. There's your bearing. And, the bearing is in beautiful shape. It's just got some grunge on the outside from the old grease. It's got a seal, or it's got a shield on one side. It's not sealed. It's got a shield on one side. And then we're going to oil that bearing down, let it soak. Your pinion is pretty grungy. We can clean all that off though. Probably push up Q-tip through there. Yeah, got that off of there. Gonna scrape the junk out of just to give the cleaner a little bit of a chance to break that up. When it collects in little clumps like that, it'll kind of clean it, but it won't take it all the way off. If you go through and do that. See, we got not a lot of really bad grease up in here, but I'm gonna scrape it out anyway. It's just a little bit, really. Built so much like a Penn Silver Series. It's kind of odd, but anyway, there's that. Let's clean the gear. Ooh. No shims on the non-handle side or the right hand side. It's a typical brown grease you would see out of these Japanese reels. You see a lot of it. It's got some big chunks that are going to come off together. This reel's going to clean up like a brand new reel. I'm not gouging into that brass, I'm just scraping it. Just using the side of the blade of the screwdriver and just knocking the heavy stuff off so the ultrasonic can bring us back to bare metal there without too much trouble. All right, let's move on to the rotor here. All right, we'll start out with the roller. Here's a screw, a star washer. Don't lose that. There's a little standoff. Okay, some grease here. Standoff goes on there. It's clean as it can be. This reel's never been fished with. I'm picking up grease as I go here off of everything. It looks like this reel's never been fished with. All right, this side over here is your trip side. So you're gonna have a couple small parts in here. There's a couple things I'm not gonna take off. Over here is gonna be your bail spring. We'll do it first. As usual, match your blade of your screwdriver size up to the screw size so you don't butterfly anything. This reel is just really too pretty to add any troubles to it, because it's very nice. Because okay, that comes off. There's a plastic spacer. We'll take this. You don't have to take this screw here all the way off, but I am, because I'm going to lubricate it really good. I don't think this reel would ever be used for salt water, but I'm going to give it a really good lubrication. There's your bail spring. It's set in there just like that. Okay. Pretty simple. I like the way Penn does things. Over here on this side, same thing. Match your screw size up. It looks like same screw on both sides. That'd be a yes. It looks like the same standoff on both sides, and that'd be a yes. We're going to take this screw off right here. Oh, easy, John. Yep, came out. No problems. This will come off. Now, underneath here, I'm going to take this piece off. Remember how it goes. Take a good look. The fat end of the I don't know what you call it, lever. Skinny end, fat end goes down here, skinny end goes up there. Remember the orientation. I'm going to leave this in there because there's a small spring underneath there. We're not going to go there. It's too clean. It doesn't need to be messed with. So there's the reel. I'll clean it up. I'll be back. Now I'm back. I got everything cleaned up. Let's put this reel together. It's a pretty nice little reel. Penn 103C. Start with the rotor. Put some grease in there. Some grease in there. This lever here went in like that. You got to kind of roll the trip back. Put that in there. And then just a little grease up on top. And then you can put this cover plate on. Now before I do that, let's put just a little bit of oil on that pivot. All right. It's going to be the longer, well, they're both short screws, so we should be fine. This reel's brand new. It's if it's been used, it ain't been used much, you know. Really, really nice little reel. And so that goes on just like that. And you get one of these covers. And then both these screws were the same. Thank you, Penn. Appreciate that. Some manufacturers, you got to guess at it. Well, actually, there's a couple Penn spin fishers that are really close, but they're not the same. All right, we'll go to this side. We're going to do the bail spring. You got to kind of give this some grease in here. This bell spring is supposed to go in like that. We'll give everything else a good coating of grease. Oops, knocked it out, didn't I? Yep. Let me get some grease on top of that spring. It's going to probably want to fall out of place. It is, of course. All right. Tighten that down, but not quite all the way. Now, that don't want to stay in place, does it? Not sure why. Let's go ahead and put this on there. Oops. Thought I had it. There we go. Yeah, there we go. Now everything should fall into place for us here. Put that screw on there. Just getting in from work. Thought I would build a reel real quick before I go outside and do a few things. Nice weather here in Virginia today. I don't know why that plate doesn't want to set into place there. That's odd. Let's see how crooked it is, and it just doesn't want to make that little pop into place. That's not fun. Well, we're going to take this out, the screw out, and try to situate it. I don't know why it doesn't want to go in there with the screw in it. It acts like it's being pinched right there. It probably is. There it goes. Just had to move it a little bit. Now it's acting like it wants to come back out again. All right. Not crazy about that. Not gonna lie. I'm not too sure if maybe we got screws backwards here. I think this one might just be ever so slightly shorter. Let's try this. Try to hold it all together. Because this screw's bottoming down, it's nowhere near getting that plate tight. I think that's where the whole problem is. One's just a little bit shorter than the other. And that's exactly what it is. I had a 50-50 chance of getting it right, and I didn't. I'm not playing the lottery today. All right. Yep, there we go. Now everything's happy. Kind of an odd little setup, but yeah, we'll let it go. All right. Now that we've sorted that little debacle out, now it acts like it's loose again. It is. Okay, now put the bell wire goes, it's gonna fight me. I can just tell it. Always put a little bit of grease up in there so that screw doesn't stick. Now this screw had a star washer on it. All right, we'll leave that right there for a second. And this had that standoff on it, and the whole thing slides up into there, and the screw can go in. I might be out of frame there, I apologize. I'm trying to keep it all together without things flying in the floor. Okay, always make sure your roller rolls. Flip the bail. And it's not tripping. That's weird. There it goes. Okay. It acts like it's a little bit bent, but daggum, it's a brand new reel. It couldn't be bent. It could be. I mean, you know, stranger things have happened. Looks a little funky, don't it? We'll try it and see. I may have to take it back loose and bend it once I get it all together. All right, let's put the body together. First thing back in is the pinion and the bearing. Now the unshielded part of the bearing would go to the inside or towards the gear. I'll put it in there like that. The bearing's in great shape, no problems there. We're going to grease this gear up really, really well. Alright. I always take a little bit of grease and put into the housing so the bearings won't stick. Alright. Now we can go ahead and put this into the housing together. This went in like that. Okay. Now, this goes on next. No. Yes. That's correct. And your dog, or paw, has a post on it that rides inside that hook, and then you've got this screw that is going to do its very best to get away from me. All right, let's try to give it just a little bit of lubricant. Get all that lined up as you tighten it down. There's a shoulder on that screw. And then your paw or your cog will go down in there like that. Like that. Now, the last thing is the rotor. It's keyed, so you basically just put it on, tighten the nut down. You don't have to put a lot of torque on these nuts. Just, I don't know, maybe I'm just feeling maybe 20 inch-pounds, something like that. Let's see if it trips. Yep, perfect. All right. Yep, it'll be all right. Yep, okay. All right, let's move on to the inside. You've got a bushing, which, like I said, it could very easily be turned into a bearing. Let's just measure it. I got grease all over me here. I can tell you what size bearing you'd need. Your outside diameter, whoops, turn it on, John, works better. Let's go in millimeters, because this is a Japanese made reel, and it's probably what this bushing is. 16 millimeter outside diameter, 4 millimeter thickness, and your shaft size is going to be 8 millimeters. And I'm sure you can get that bearing. That's a pretty common size bearing. So make a note of that from my video. If you've got one of these reels, you could change out both of these, and I'd get sealed bearings. You could change out both of these bushings for bearings very easily. If I were keeping this reel and go fish with it, that's exactly what I would do. All right. Because those are bushings, I'm going to give them a little bit of grease. I'm going to grease this slide, this track down in here. I'm going to grease this post where the shaft or the axle shaft goes through. We're going to put some grease up in there. I'm going to grease this gear really well. Got a lot of grease on my brush that time. And for a brush, I just use like a painter's artist brush. I think I picked some up at a yard sale or something one time. Somebody was selling a bunch of art supplies. I just grabbed a batch of them. You'll put this down in there and let it sit for just a minute. Here's your axle shaft all cleaned up. It'll go in. I use oil on these shafts. I don't like putting grease on them. Some people put grease on. It's not my thing, but then let's grease this a little bit better down in here. You've got your block that goes in, and your shaft. Watch how I do this. Your shaft goes all the way in so you see the holes line up on the inside of it. Okay? Which is pretty much bottomed all the way out. And you'll put that pin in. And the pin's not going all the way through for some reason. That pin has to go all the way through. Not sure what the hang up there is. I'll give it a little love tap. There it goes. So that's got to go all the way through. And see, it just, there's a track in there that slides on. That's important. Now, up here on the back side of the gear, where your crosswind lever is going to rub this gear, give it plenty of grease. Okay? And then when your crosswind pivots on that, give it some grease. Your crosswind lever, it's symmetrical. It's the same either way, so it doesn't matter which way you flip it or whatever. You're going to line it up, and it'll sit right down on that eccentric. And then this had two shims out here on the outside edge. And we'll grease that. Because this is a bushing. If it was a bearing, it'd get oil. So it's a bushing, it's going to get grease. Also, where the handle goes on, we'll put some grease. Also, where the cover screws go, a little bit of grease. I'm going to oil this selector lever here and here, and I'll put the bushing in the cover. Also on this side of the cover, you've got a track for that pin to ride in, so we'll grease the pin, grease the track, put the cover on. Okay, and your 3 cover screws. And I've got greasy fingerprints. Obviously, I had my hands all in the engine today, so. All right, let's take this thing apart, put this thing together here. Nice little reel. I'm almost tempted to keep it for myself, but I think I'm going to let somebody else who collects this series of the Penn reels, the 103s. I think there's a 104 maybe. Could be wrong. I think there's 2 of them in this series. Not a bad looking little reel. I'm more of the Greenies, Z's, the SS series, whether it be the 3-digit or the 4-digit. That's kind of my thing, you know. All right, your handle. Goes together like this. Hang on just a minute. Sorry about that. Now, almost done here. A little bit of grease where the cover goes. And put the washers in. Teflon, metal, Teflon, eared, Teflon, metal, and lock. And that's the whole reel. A little bit of grease where the knob goes. Put the knob, the adjuster knob on, and there is a Penn 103C. Ready to go. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. This is John, Bench Fisherman. Catch you later.